Welcome back. Let's continue with our journey. So now we are going to look at proportion, starting with indirect proportion. Now, what is direct proportion? It is a relation between two quantities, and if the one quantity increases, the other one also increases with the same value or vice versa. So if the x goes up, the y will go up as well. With an increase in rainfall, there is an increase in the level of water in the dams of the same area, meaning here the variables will be rainfall and the level of water both going up. Another example, with an increase in temperature, there is an increase in the rate of evaporation of water. So the temperature goes up and then the water will evaporate more. And then the other one, for this type of pattern, you will always be given all the information in words. Let's look at an example. Use the graph to answer the questions that follow. How long will it take to reach 200 kilometers? Now we need to go back to the graph on the left-hand side and look for the variables. The distance traveled will give us the 200 kilometers, and then how long we will read from the independent axis, which is my x. So let's look. We find 200 on the left-hand side, trace it down until we reach our graph, and then go down, and then you will see it will take 120 minutes to reach 200 kilometers. Identify the type of proportion represented by the graph and give a reason for your choice. Now, before we can attempt to answer this, we need to go and look at the relationship between the x and the y. Let's start with the x-axis. Now, there is 0, and you can see as time goes on, we are moving away from the 0, and that means the x is increasing. And then the y, which is the distance traveled, is again, there is 0, and we are moving in the direction of the line, and the numbers is increasing. You can see 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, meaning the y goes up, the x go up, and the y goes up in the same ratio, and therefore it is direct proportion. Convert 180 minutes to hours. Now remember, there is 60 minutes in 1 hour. So what's going to happen is 60 minutes will be 1 hour, 120 minutes will be 2 hours, and then 180 minutes is 3 hours. The other way that you could have done it is you could have said 180 divided by 60 is 3. Calculate the average speed in kilometers per minute if the distance covered was 250 kilometers and the time taken is 150 minutes. And then they give us the formula, speed is distance over time. Now guys, remember, it is very important to check your units when you answer a question like this. They asked the question, speed in kilometers and minutes. Now we go to our graph. Here's the graph. and we check the units. The distance traveled is in kilometers and the time taken is in minutes. So if I divide the two, it will give me the unit that I want. So the distance is going to be 250 kilometers divided by 150, and then you take your calculator, 250 divided by 150, and that gives us 1,67 kilometers per minute. Let's look at indirect proportion. A relation that occurs when one quantity increases and the other quantity decreases with the same value. Now, remember not to make the most common mistake. Your common error is the inability to identify direct or indirect proportion in a given scenario. When both goes up or both goes down, it is going to be direct. This is direct. And then now, if one goes up and the other one goes down, it will be indirect proportion. But remember, it needs to be the same value. An event manager is organizing a Women's Day event and plans to charge people according to the number of people that will attend. The graph indicates the amount to be paid according to the number of people that will attend. Use the graph and answer the following questions. Now, what is going on the graph? On the x-axis, there's the number of people, and on the y-axis, it's the cost. So the number of people will determine the cost per person. Does the graph represent an increasing or decreasing relationship? Now remember, this graph is going in what direction? Let's look at the x. You can see the x is becoming more and the y is getting smaller. And then for all the people, the number of people, the cheaper the price because of the number of people. So therefore, it is going to be a decreasing relationship. How many people can attend the event for 200 Rand? So now 200 Rand, sorry for all the scratches. Let's just make some space. Now if that is 500, there is more or less 250. So then we look at the graph until it goes down, and then we'll see it's 8 to 10 people that can attend for 200 Rand. Let's look at another example. Calculate how much each person will pay if a group of 50 people will attend the event. Now, as you can see, there is not a number 50 labeled on the x-axis. So now we need to go and look for something else. The best go-to that we have is the price for one person. So if one person is going, that person will pay 2,000 Rand. And remember, as the number of people goes up, the cost is going down with the same ratio. So therefore, 50 people is going to be 2,000 divided by 50, because we're now taking the price per person, the total price, the 2,000, and then we will see it is 40 Rand. So if a group of 50 people go to the event, they will pay 40 Rand per person. Is this an example of direct or indirect proportion? What is going on? Yeah, the Y is decreasing and the X is increasing, so therefore it's going to be indirect. Calculate the difference between the minimum and the maximum amount to be paid for entrance. So now remember, the maximum amount will be the 2,000. And that is for one person. And then the maximum showed on the graph is 10 people. So the minimum then is going to be 2,000 divided by 10, and that is 200. So the maximum is 2,000 and the minimum is 200. How did we arrive at that answer? We said the total cost, 2,000, divided by the 10 people. And this brings us to an ad break. I hope to see you soon.